What's going on, guys? It's Fight Season MMA, and today I want to make a video talking about my official predictions. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. The weigh-in was tonight. Got really heated. Mike Tyson actually slapped Jake Paul across the face. Incredible weigh-in. And building this fight, as we all know, Mike Tyson is probably the best heavyweight boxer that there ever was. He was a former heavyweight champion. Jake Paul started his boxing career a couple years ago. I'd say 6 or 7 years ago, and ever since then, Jake Paul has been on a tear. He is 10-1, getting 7 knockouts and 1 loss, that to being Tommy Fury. This fight is going down at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, where the Dallas Cowboys play, and will be broadcasted on Netflix, so please go watch it there. I do think that this is going to be a very interesting fight, but I kind of want to talk about the rules because they're a little bit different than a little bit of other boxing rules that you might be used to. Kind of talk about those, and ultimately which way I would be leaning into this fight. I do think that there's a lot of storylines going into this fight, but genuinely, I want to talk all that and move that to the side. Who is going to win? Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. This is kind of be a very interesting thing because no matter who you pick, I do think that there's some value behind it, considering that Mike Tyson, yes, is one of the best boxers ever, but you got to remember that he is 58 years old. On the other hand, Jake Paul isn't really a boxer, but he's a lot younger. So it's going to be very interesting to see these two individuals fight. But before we jump into the video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. That is the best way to help the channel grow. And while you're down there, please turn on the post notifications just so you guys are always and fully notified about UFC content releasing every single day. But without further ado, let's jump right into the video talking about Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. So as we all know, this Friday, actually tomorrow or today when this video goes up, Jake Paul will be going down and fighting Mike Tyson in Arlington, Texas. An incredible fight to be made. And I don't mean incredible that it's like the best fight that you could ever made. I'm just surprised that Mike Tyson and Jake Paul would link up to make this fight happen. Now, I know Jake Paul has kind of avoided boxers in his career. He's fought the likes of Anderson Silva once, Tyron Woodley twice, Nate Diaz once. And I think it's one of those things that Jake Paul is trying to go out there and make the money fights. But before we talk about this fight any further, I kind of want to establish the rules between these two individuals. So usually within boxing, you wear 10-ounce gloves and the rounds are 3 minutes per round. Now in this fight, both fighters will wear 14-ounce gloves instead of the standard 10, which I'm kind of talked about either way. Also, each round will last 2 minutes rather than 3 minutes and will only be 8 rounds of fighting. Now, I do think that that is a massive exchange in the octagon because you're talking about 2 or 4 less rounds of 3 minutes a round. That's like another fight out of this already fight that you would be going on to. And plus, it's only 16 minutes of fighting. This is just a 3-round UFC event and not like any other boxing. This isn't a main event of any pay-per-view in the UFC or anything like that. It's just a regular fight. And I do think that benefits Tyson in a lot of different ways, but it also benefits Jake in a lot of other ways too. I think Jake is going to be able to be a lot more explosive. I think he's going to be able to there and wing his hands a little bit more. Now, yes, it's going to take a little bit more energy to wing his hands considering that he's wearing 14 instead of 10-ounce gloves, but genuinely, I do think that Jake is going to be able to go out there and use those bowling balls that he counts as hands and really be able to go out there and swing. But on the same thing, I think this is good for Mike Tyson because I think he's going to be able to put out a little bit more output while having adequate time to go into the corner and kind of relax and get himself back together. Now, as much as you want to hate on Jake Paul and whatnot, Jake Paul has a great chin. He is actually an amazing chin. He took an incredible shot from Tyron Woodley, which he was able to withstand and ultimately continue the fight as it went further. My biggest question with Mike Tyson in this fight is how is his chin? Because I genuinely see a possibility that Mike Tyson gets slept by Jake Paul. And the reason I say that is not because Mike Tyson's bad or not anything other than that. We got to remember that Mike Tyson is 58 years old. Mike Tyson is like twice Jake Paul's age plus 8 or 9 years, which is insane for me. And considering that this is going on, Jake Paul is in his athletic prime. He looks amazing. Now, I don't know what he's been doing, but Jake Paul's physique looks incredible, especially during the weigh-ins today. He looks gigantic. And Mike Tyson, yes, looks shredded himself, but he is 58 years old, and he had to pull out of the first fight that was scheduled back in July for health complications. So I just think that in that category, it's going to benefit Jake Paul a lot more. But also in these dirty boxing exchanges, Mike Tyson still has the experience to kind of go in there and do what he needs to do in order to win the exchanges. He knows when to throw shots and when to hold and when to do this and that. And Mike Tyson is always going to have that with him. That never leaves him. And genuinely, I think that Mike Tyson having that ability to completely understand what goes on in this fight, not saying that Jake Paul won't, but Mike Tyson, no matter how long you're off for, are still going to have that kind of experience and those cues and those just reactions that are just impulsive for you to really go out there and do. And I think that he's going to be able to go out there and exploit some of Jake Paul's weaknesses. As we all know, Jake Paul's biggest weakness is his footwork. Jake Paul's footwork is pretty bad. He does some things where he crosses his feet. He does a couple other things to where Jake Paul doesn't have the correct footwork, not necessarily saying it of a correct boxer, but it's just genuinely he has a lot of bad habits. When you cross your feet, when you move, it can lead to a lot of different situations to where if you move fast, you could fall over and a bunch of different stuff. So Jake Paul has some very bad tendencies and habits when he's on his feet, swinging and doing other things. But who do I think is going to win this fight? Now, before I kind of give a prediction, the other thing I want to say is I think that the bigger gloves and the shorter rounds are going to conduce more or less a decision. And I think that is better, obviously, for Mike Tyson. I think that there is a chance that Tyson will get knocked out, but I think that with 10-ounce gloves in 3-minute rounds, in 10 to 12 rounds, I think Tyson probably would get knocked out. But in this fight, I'm not 100% sure if he would get picked out, and that kind of shows my official prediction to where I am going to say that Jake Paul is going to win this fight. Now, I don't know exactly what's going to happen with Mike Tyson. I am going to officially say that Jake Paul is going to win via decision, but I'm not 100% sure because I think Jake Paul has the power to go in there and knock Tyson out, and I do think that Jake Paul may be able to absorb a shot from 58-year-old Mike Tyson. Not prime Mike Tyson, 58-year-old Mike Tyson. Not saying he still won't have power or won't have technique. It's just not going to be the same as when he was Iron Mike Tyson back in the 90s. And you know what? Mike Tyson is an absolute incredible human being out there. He's an incredible boxer, but I think the time has passed. And as much as you can say that Jake Paul isn't a fighter or whatnot, you have to be talented to be 10-1 against anyone in the boxing community. Even though he's fought the likes of Tyron Woodley, who is a UFC grappler, I genuinely think that those are very impressive wins. Now, someone like Ben Askren, kind of a can because he wrestles, but Jake Paul knocking him out in that fashion, I still think is impressive. You know, Jake Paul genuinely is a fighter who's up and coming. He's chasing his dreams and is someone who will be in this boxing world for a very long time. I'll kind of link my other video that I did right here if I already didn't link it before, but Jake Paul has brought so much positivity to the boxing community. People watch to see Jake Paul fight because they either want to see him lose or win or see what he does, but genuinely Jake Paul has been a positive benefit for the sport, and I think that this fight with Mike Tyson is going to be a great fight to where it's going to make a lot of money, and I don't think anyone wants to see Mike Tyson get knocked out. Now, there might be some people, I think a lot more people want to see Jake Paul get knocked out, but genuinely, Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, I think is going to go to do a decision, and I genuinely think that Jake Paul is going to go in there and ultimately get that done. I think he's going to be a little bit faster, a little bit younger. He's going to be able to go in inside it out. I think his jab is pretty good. His right overhand is dynamite. I think he can catch Mike Tyson with that a little bit, but he's just got to hopefully improve that footwork. He last fought Mike Perry in July in Amelia Arena in Tampa, Florida, and he looked good in that one. But genuinely, I think that Jake Paul, if he stays to his path, if he does what he needs to do, he's going to go in there and win this fight with Mike Tyson. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA, and please let me know what you think about my prediction of Jake Paul beating Mike Tyson by decision. I just don't see how Mike Tyson is going to be able to win this fight at 58 years old. Now, if anyone can do it, it's going to be Mike Tyson, but I always see the rules, and looking at these one more time, I think they're really condoning to a possible decision being had. 14-ounce gloves rather than 10. It's going to be harder to throw to get more power, and there's going to be more of a cushion. Also, subtracting 2 to 4 rounds is a massive part of the fight. And on top of that, you're taking out an extra minute from the round. That is incredible for me because this is only going to be a 16-minute fight at most compared to something that would be upwards of 24, 30 minutes. So you're cutting down half the fight. And genuinely, I think that Jake Paul is going to be a little bit faster. I think he's going to do everything necessary. I think he understands and respects Mike Tyson's power, and I think he's going to be a little hesitant once he gets in there. But I do think that Jake Paul is going to ultimately get it done. I know a lot of people hate on Jake Paul. I understand the work he puts in. He's an incredibly hard worker, whether you like him or not. He's a good boxer. He has power. He's got a good chin. He's got some habits that are very bad. But ultimately, Jake Paul, I do think, is going to go in there, shock the world, and win this fight with Mike Tyson. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Fight Season MMA. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you guys enjoy the UFC content. And while you're down there, please turn on the post notifications, just so you guys are always notified about UFC content and MMA boxing content releasing every single day. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon with more UFC content and news.